Good evening, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here this evening as we come together to welcome Shabbat. I saw that we were all taking out our phones and turning them off and turning them to silent. And I always like to joke that there's a very special sacred prayer we say at the beginning of Shabbat, which is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'sheket ha-cell phone. So for making our cell phones quiet. That way we can really be together and engage in our Shabbat rest without the distraction of our second brains that follow us around everywhere we go. My name is Jessie Rubenstein. I am very, very pleased to be here as your Shaliach Tzibor tonight. And I know that Rabbi Schneider will be back next week, but I want to say thank you so much. 2 weeks he'll be back. He'll be back soon, and I want to say thank you for having me these past few weeks. It's been an absolute joy for me to be here with you celebrating Shabbat, so thank you so much for having me. I'd like to start us off on page 10 as we welcome Shabbat together with a song of joy, how nice it is and how good it is to be together this evening with Hine Matov. Hine Matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov. Shevet achim gam yachad, hine tov, shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. We join together on page 2 to bring in the lights of Shabbat. We believe that as the Shabbat candles are lit, we receive an extra measure of our soul on Shabbat. And so that's why when we close our eyes and cover them when we light the candles, and we open our eyes and we've been filled with that special extra soul we get on Shabbat. And so I'm going to invite you as we light our Shabbat candles this evening to really think about breathing in and then opening your eyes as that Shabbat light fills them. Page 2. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And as we do each week until all our brothers and sisters have been returned, we light a candle for those who are still being held in captivity. Our service continues on page 12 with Lechuna Ranana. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena ladonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena ladonai. Naria, naria, letzur hishenu nekadma fanav betoda. Naria, naria, letzur hishenu bizmirot naria lo. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena ladonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena ladonai. We continue on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem, inviting those guiding angels to come and be with us as we rest and rejuvenate on Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These malachei, these messengers, is the literal translation of malachei is messenger. So we see them a lot in the Torah. It can be referred to someone just delivering a message, but also refers to angels. So actually a lot of times in the Torah when we have this talk of angels, it's this word malachei. So there's some kind of ambiguity as to whether they're divine beings or whether they're just messengers. And so we're going to talk a little bit tonight. In this week's Parsha, we have a very unlikely messenger in the form of a donkey. So we're going to talk a little bit about that donkey as one of our malachei, as one of our messengers this week in Parshat Balak. So, spoiler alert. We go backwards to page 20 with Lecha Dodi, and we will sing together verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on the 9th verse, I'm going to invite you, as you are able, to rise and welcome in our Sabbath Queen into our midst, fully getting ourselves ready for Shabbat. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Panei nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala Panei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmi'anu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemaho echad L'shem hu tiferet v'litila Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki mekor haberacha Merosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei Shabbat nekabela Hidoreri Kiva orech kumiori Uri, shir daberi, kavod Adonai alayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat nekabela Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gaham besimcha uv'tzala Tachem hunei am segula Bohi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. And as we are standing together, as is the custom at Temple Kol Ami, I'm going to invite you to turn to a person near you, preferably someone you did not come here with this evening, and offer them greetings and Shabbat Shalom on this fine evening together. We remain standing on page 28 for the Baruch Hu. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. We remain standing as we are able on page 34 with the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha Veshinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha v'derech, uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha, u'kshartam lehot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeruhu basitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. We continue on page 40 with Michamocha, the Song of Our Freedom. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nohora tehilot, osehi fele, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeh yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli hanu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, uga'alo mi'ad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. So one of the interesting things about our next prayer, the Hashkivenu, which we'll read an interpretation of on page 43, is it talks about keeping us safe from war and famine and all these, and our enemies who want to pursue us, and wild beasts and all these things that might get to us at night. And one of the things that I used to struggle with is, we are very blessed here right now that we in our congregation likely are not experiencing war and famine and plague and things like that. So what is this meaning of Hashkivenu? And then I became a parent, and I realized that the Hashkivenu is about those worries that plague us at night. It's about wondering, yes, we may not be directly experiencing plague and famine, but worrying about those who are, and being able to disconnect from the world around us and have that restful, blissful sleep is something that is so hard for so many of us. The Hashkivenu is such a relevant prayer because it encourages us to think about this the Sukkot Shalom, this shelter of peace that we hope encompasses us while we sleep. And how nice would that be, to be able to rest our heads down and really have that shalom, that wholeness as we sleep. And that's the Hashkivenu for me these days. Let us read together on page 43, the top reading there. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukkot shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Let us say, Amen. We continue on page 44 with Vishamru. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Our service will continue on page 46 with our tefillah, our Amidah prayer. I'm going to invite you in just a moment to rise as you are able. We will sing together pages 48 through 52 out loud. And then I'm going to invite you to take a few moments to silently reflect on your week. You can do so with the words on the pages in front of you, or think about really what's in your heart at this moment. What are you coming into Shabbat with? What are you leaving behind in the week that's passed? I invite you to rise on page 46. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. You may continue silently and be seated when you're done. We conclude our tefillah prayer on page 62 with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, amen. Let us say amen. At this time in our service, we recall those who are in need of some thoughts of healing, of love. This can be a healing of the mind, of the body, or of the soul. One of the things that I remember asking when I was little was, is it okay to pray for yourself? And I know that we can all sometimes use a little bit of extra love toward ourselves. And so if you're the one who is in need of a refuah shlema of some sort, a complete healing, I invite you to share your name in addition to the names of those you have in your hearts as we prepare to sing our Mishaberach prayer on page 253. We join together in our Mishaberach on page 253. Mishaberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imoteinu mekor habracha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Are there people who you sometimes find it hard to respect? Me too. People in whom you find it hard to see good. People whose intentions you doubt. One of these challenging individuals is the non-Jewish prophet Bilam, who is hired by Balak to curse the Israelites during the wandering in the wilderness following the Exodus. In this week's Parsha, Balak, Balaam initially says no to this request, but he eventually succumbs to the lure of fame and fortune. You will recall in this week's Parsha that even his donkey, that unlikely Malach, was smart enough to speak up and tell him to turn back from his ill-fated mission. Rashi relates that, and this is a quote, the donkey who rebuked Balaam died immediately afterwards, so that people would not point to the donkey and say, this is the donkey that rebuked Balaam and left him speechless. The humiliation of Balaam by the donkey remaining alive would not have been in keeping with the dictates of kavod habriot, human dignity, and so the donkey died. Had the donkey remained alive, it might have been an opportunity to glorify God's miraculous powers. People everywhere would have pointed at the donkey as a testimony to God's wonders. The Midrash even says that this talking donkey was one of the things created before the creation of the world, ready for just this moment. Yet, so as not to embarrass a man, even a man of such low character as Bilam, the donkey was not allowed to remain alive. The rabbis place a priority on the value of human dignity, on honoring each individual as a spark of the divine. While I do have an issue with the innocent donkey dying for the cause, it is remarkable to read of the rabbinic care and concern to not embarrass anyone. Our tradition teaches that not only are we to refrain from diminishing the honor of another person, we are required to build up the esteem in which they are held. we are mandated to judge others favorably, to which the rabbis add, make allowances for your neighbor's behavior. This is one of those mitzvot whose fruits a person enjoys here on earth while the principle remains for him in heaven. We must judge others favorably, whether that means deciding that a person did the right thing, attributing their offenses to inadvertence, or assuming that they were ignorant of the gravity of their wrongdoing. Even if none of these explanations applies, we must assume that the person who told us of our neighbor's offenses omitted some sort of crucial detail, or possibly added one which changed the story to our neighbor's detriment. In Pirkei Avot, the rabbis set forth a general rule: do not judge another until you have been in their position. Considering the following case from Tractate Shabbat, which describes the inevitable, incredible lengths one must go to in judging another person favorably. This is a favorite story of mine. A man came down from the Upper Galilee and worked for someone in the south for 3 years. At the end of this period, on the day before Yom Kippur, he approached his employer. He said to his employer, "Pay me so I can go and support my family." The employer said, "I have no money for you." "Well, pay me with fruit then." "I have none." "Well, let me have livestock then." "I don't have that either." "Have you even bed linens?" "No." Sadly, he packed his belongings and went home. When Sukkot had passed, his employer took his wages and 3 donkeys, setting out for the Upper Galilee. One donkey was laden with food, another with drink, and a third with delicacies. After they had eaten and drunk, he paid the man his wages. Then the employer asked, "When you requested your wages and I told you I had no money, what did you think?" The man answered, "I assumed you had just invested all your capital in a promising business venture. And when I said I had no livestock, I assumed you had rented them all out. And what did you think when I said I had no lands? I assumed that they were leased to others. And when I said I could give you no fruit, I assumed it was not yet tithed. And when I said I had no bed linens, I could only assume that you had consecrated all that you owned to charity." "That is, in fact, what occurred," said the employer. "Now, just as you have judged me favorably, God shall judge you favorably." It is very easy to be critical and judgmental. It is much more challenging to give others the benefit of the doubt and to treat them with the honor due to each human being. When we look at others as holy beings, we elevate ourselves and we inspire and encourage them toward their highest selves. Even Balaam, the rabbis conclude, the prophet who contracted to curse the Israelites, is still a child of God and thus deserving kavod, respect. His poor donkey had to sacrifice his life so as to spare Balaam any embarrassment. How much more must we honor those with whom we interact on a daily basis, all of us just struggling to do our best in the challenges of everyday life? Mary Kay Ash, founder of that successful cosmetics line, summed it up this way: pretend that every single person you meet has a sign around his or her neck that says, "Make me feel important." Not only will you succeed in sales, you will succeed in life. Shabbat Shalom. Our service continues on page 282 with the Aleinu. I invite you to rise as you are able. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, lated gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegora leinu kechol hamonam. Vanachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malkei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Page 287. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yireh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Please be seated. We read together on page number 289, reading number 2. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. We remember those who death has taken from us at this time in years past, as well as those who are more recently passed from our lives. If you are in a period of mourning or observing a yard site, I invite you to stand and share the name of your loved one.
My cousin Mike Shillingson and my all-time favorite entertainer, Bob Newhart.
The yard site of my mother, Shirley Katz. Harvey Friedman, yard site of my father, Elizabeth Webb.
We rise together as we are able in solidarity with those who mourn on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'galau v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal, shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. We ask God to send peace to all who are in a period of mourning, comforting them, knowing that their community is with them. Our service begins its conclusion with, that's a funny way to put that. That was weird. In the beginning of our Siddur, on page number 5, thank you so much, as we join together for Kiddush and Motzi, following which I believe there is a little nashi in the entryway. Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim. Is there anyone who is observing some sort of simcha, some sort of happy news this week, and would like to come up and share that with us and lead us in Motzi? Any simchas, any happy things to share? I am happy to be here as well. Yes. My simcha this week is my daughter got back from camp. She was at Camp Stein for 2 weeks, and she is back, and it's been really nice having her home. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Is there someone who wants to pass out challah? A volunteer to pass out the challah? Got to get those steps in. I just want to say thank you so much for having me these past couple of weeks. I've really enjoyed being here. We're going to end with just some Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Good Shabbos. I hope you have a wonderful, restful Shabbat.